The ACC released the conference opponents on Wednesday, and it's official. Carolina and State will only play one time this regular season.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Thursday, May 29th, 2025. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade, and you're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks so much for making us your first listen or watch to get your day going the right way. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Welcome in all you everydayers, all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, and of course, our great Locked On Tar Heels insiders. Joining me on the show today is our good friend, Coach Bill Robinson, head coach of the Milligan University Buffaloes, and a 2-decade veteran of Carolina Basketball School, North Carolina's summer basketball camp, upcoming in just a few short weeks. And by the way, Coach has written a great book about Carolina Basketball School. We both are holding up our copies there. Carolina Basketball School, History, Stories, and Drills. Make sure you get your copy now on Amazon, or you can get it directly from Coach Rob. By the way, if you're going to be at camp this summer, you can buy it from him directly there. Correct, Coach?
That's correct.
Yeah. I love it. So bring your Sharpie, have it ready, and Coach would love to sign that for you, man. That's going to be really neat. And so been some good sales lately, and just, man, want to make sure you all have an opportunity to get this book. All right, coming on the show today, want to remind you that the NBA draft withdrawal deadline, that's a tough word, withdrawal deadline was last night, 11:59 p.m. Eastern. So we now know the playing field. Coach and I will talk a little bit more about that last week, because Jameer Watkins, somebody Carolina thought about maybe going after, it seems like it's staying in the draft. So we'll talk about that more next week. Obviously, no Drake Powell, Cinderella pumpkin moments. He's staying in, as we knew. So as for the show today, ACC opponent schedule was released on Wednesday. And in other scheduling news, the Tar Heels have, according to Jon Rothstein, scheduled a home-and-home with Georgetown starting this fall. So that'll be great stuff there. Coach, let's get right into the ACC opponents release. I'm going to put it up on screen for those of you who are watching on YouTube, and we'll talk about it. And then, Coach, I just want to start by asking your big picture reactions to this schedule. As a reminder, we have moved from 20 games down to 18. There will be 2 teams that Carolina plays home and away, always Duke and always a rotation of somebody else, not NC State. And then there will be 1 team that Carolina doesn't play at all. So home only, there are 7 opponents: Clemson, Florida State, Louisville, Notre Dame, Pitt, Virginia Tech, and Wake. Away only, Cal, Georgia Tech, Miami, NC State, SMU, Stanford, and Virginia. The home and away, obviously Duke, and the other is, of course, as we expected, Syracuse. And the team Carolina will not play is Boston College. Coach, your initial takeaways to seeing this ACC conference opponents?
My first takeaway is personal. Virginia Tech and Wake are the 2 closest to me, and those are the ones that I can possibly fit something in on a away game. I might be able to get to one of those games. Did get to go to Virginia Tech a couple years ago. Love seeing the Tar Heels at home. It's even fun to see them on the road and see how Carolina Blue can just take over an opposing gym. But from a coaching perspective, I hate it. I mean, I'll be honest. I believe a couple things. One, if I got to play Duke twice, everybody else have to play Duke twice. I also believe in the rivalries and the NC State. I have a lot of NC State fans. Now I can only gloat once a year instead of twice a year. So I don't like either one of those. And that's just part of it. But, I understand it's business, and I understand that in a multi bid league, it's a little bit different than, for us, when we only get 1 or 2 bids, it's a little bit different. With just not having as many teams go to the national tournament. But I understand why they're doing it. I guess it's progressive, but overall, I really don't like it.
I'm right with you. I'll just add in about NC State and then follow on your coattails there. From North Carolina's release about the schedule, this is the first time the 2 teams won't play in Chapel Hill since 1919, Coach, over a century ago. It's very sad. It feels like in a different way, like the end of the Pac-12, which I know is about to start back, but it's like that kind of longevity that we are now losing. And I'm right with you. Like at some level, for everyone, you have made your bed of these bloated conferences, and now you got to lie in it. These are the ramifications of chasing the almighty dollar. And when that means losing the home and home rivalry with NC State every year, I already didn't like conference bloat, and coach, now I don't like it even more. And I'm disappointed, man. I am real, and we knew it was coming, right? Like there are times in life when bad things are on the horizon, whether it's like a family member that's near death, but you can't prepare for it until it's there and actually happens. We have known it was coming with this new scheduling philosophy where Carolina and State wouldn't play twice every year. But now that the reality is before us, coach, I don't like it.
No, and it does take away some of those natural rivalries. I would think just from a purely financial state, I mean, those are games you're going to absolutely sell out.
That's a good
You
word.
just know. And there's a lot of rivalries between, and it could be huge too if Ben Lubin ends up over there too. Just the rivalry between players when it's only a few miles away. So I just hate losing those natural rivalries. I hate having opportunities where you can keep those traditions going. Something that's been going for 100+ years. It's really sad to see it go.
Oh man. In terms of the home only and road only, coach, I guess we kind of expected this would probably be the case, but with having all three newcomers at home this past season, 24-25, expected you would get at least one or two of them on the road, and it turns out it's all three on the road. So Carolina will have to travel out to Northern California and to Dallas. Oh, which means maybe I could go to the SMU game, coach, because you talk about Blacksburg and Wake Forest being close to you there, or Winston-Salem, excuse me. Dallas is the closest one for me, still 5-ish hours, but we'll see. But Carolina will have to visit all three of the newcomers. And coach, we saw it last year. It's, kind of like Pac-12's old partner system, where I would imagine what's going to happen here is that now that the ACC has established these 9 rivalries, the teams you play every year home and home, I'm imagining what's going to happen is Carolina and Duke will both go out some weekend, and, Carolina plays Cal on Saturday while Duke plays Stanford, and then they flip and play those on Monday or something like that. Coach, is what I expect to happen. Do you like that it's that way where you just one trip out west takes care of both of those?
As a coach, yeah. Let's go nail it on one, all in one time. I saw something online today that the Yankees don't go, I think, west of the Mississippi after this weekend or something like that.
Ooh,
and as a coach, man, that's great. Let's take all those long road trips earlier all at one time, and then we don't have to worry about those long trips again. I know when Coach Williams was coaching, they had their bus driver, which would drive ahead of trips. So when they got to Boston for Boston College game, they get off the airplane and their bus was there with their driver. Same thing. I mean, I'm kind of curious to see if that's going to happen in Cal and Stanford. I kind of doubt that, but those are little things that I think are just going to be different for how they handle things, and maybe some of those things that are comfortable start to become a little bit uncomfortable. But at the same time, I, as a coach, like going to new places. So I kind of like the fact I've been in the same league for 28 years. When we get a chance to go somewhere new, it's better to the restaurants and the hotel, and everything's just a little bit different. So it does keep it maybe a little bit fresh. So I think that first trip to Cal, that first trip to Stanford, first trip to Dallas, which is where I did my internship, it's a fun town.
Yeah.
I love Dallas. So I think it's a good experience and allows those guys to maybe see some different things they haven't seen before.
That's a great point. And with Cal and Stanford, assuming you're out there for a couple of days to play both schools, it's kind of like what happens like when you go play an MTE. Hopefully, the team can go see the Redwoods or some other cool stuff in between games. And like you said, coach, take advantage of being in a cool, it's like, if we're going to have to do this, let's make a thing of it and expose the players to things they might not otherwise see. I love that's something that you can do is help these young men not just become better athletes, but better, more well-rounded humans. And so I love your points there. Now, more to talk about with this schedule release, because not only is Carolina not playing Boston College, every team has one other opponent they're not going to play. I've kind of figured out who that is for each school. Plus, I want to get coach's take on the home-only games, the road-only games. Does he like the road-only slate? Is it going to be hard or difficult? We'll get all that coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel, the NBA playoffs are in full swing and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action than right now. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. For example, as Coach and I record right now, we are in the midst of Game 5 of the Timberwolves and Thunder. Thunder trying to close this thing out, and they're up 32-14 right now. And so the live line is 19.5 for the Thunder. And so maybe you want to get in on something like that. You can do that in real time with player props, performance trends, same-game parlays. Fans like you have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. How about tonight's Eastern Conference Finals game? We got Knicks at Pacers, Game 5 there. Pacers trying to close it out, but Knicks are favored at home by 4.5 there in MSG. So, are you new to FanDuel? Perfect. Right now is the best time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If you win, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets. So go ahead, make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, Coach Rob, Isaac Schade here with you. We're looking at Carolina's ACC conference opponent matchups, which were released on Wednesday. As a reminder, not the schedule. We don't know dates or times or anything like that, no TV, but we do know who the 18 opponents will be. Coach, I want to ask you about the home-only slate and how you feel about that. As a reminder for everyone, those games, those 7 games of home-only are Clemson, Florida State, Louisville, Notre Dame, Pitt, Virginia Tech, and Wake Forest. Coach, what do you make of the home-only slate there?
I think it seems like they have the tougher games at home, which is, you would think, benefit for them. Obviously, Clemson was really good last year. Louisville, Pat did a great job out there. And, Pitt's always tough, and seems like we always kind of struggle with them anyway. But it does seem like we have the tougher teams at home, which is what you want. Of course, if things go the way you would expect them to be vice versa the following year. But let's just focus on now and just let's focus on the games we have in front of us. So I kind of like that. I kind of like having that group at home.
I'm right with you, Coach. And we'll talk about it on next Tuesday's show that you and I are going to record together about looking at the full schedule. But when you look at a less daunting non-conference schedule as well, man, I'm encouraged a little bit by all of that. You mentioned Clemson and Louisville. I expect Louisville preseason to probably be voted second in the ACC, so that's good news. Also, Carolina, it's hard to go win in Tallahassee. I know it's a new coach in Luke Laux, but still playing FSU only at home is nice. Carolina, there's always a little bit of issues with Pitt in recent years, so getting them home only is good. Blacksburg's tough to play. Winston-Salem. So I'm right with you. I like that Carolina has some of seemingly the tougher games home only. Now, by the flip side, that probably means, okay, let's look at the away only games. And hopefully that means that those will be a little bit easier. We already mentioned 3 of the 7 are the newcomers, SMU, Cal, and Stanford. But Coach, the other 4, Georgia Tech, Miami, NC State, and Virginia. What do you make of the away only games?
Seems like we have a lot of the new coaches that we're going to be playing on the road.
Nice.
It always scares me when you have an opponent that you think that you should be able to beat, and then you go on the road and you don't play hard. And that does scare me a little bit with some of the new programs or new coaches a part of these programs. That's the type of stuff that really scares me. So those are day of or day before coaching motivational speeches and just for preparation type stuff. But on paper, it seems to make pretty good sense for the Heels, and seems like would favor a good season this coming up season.
Coach, that's such a good point. Obviously, Florida State has a new coach, which is one of the home-only opponents. But literally, Miami, NC State, and Virginia all have brand new coaches. Ryan Odom at Virginia, Will Wade at NC State, and former Duke assistant Jai Lucas at Miami. Damon Stoudemire will be in his 3rd year at Georgia Tech. And then obviously Cal, Stanford, SMU. SMU will be the 2nd year for Andy Enfield. And Stanford and Cal are both pretty new with their coaching situations as well, obviously new to the league. So, man, that's really interesting. That's a great point. Obviously, Georgia Tech, has played Carolina well, especially in Atlanta. There's been a lot of troubles, both football and basketball, if we're being honest. The last time Carolina played at Georgia Tech was 2 years ago, that game when Carolina had that great final end of regulation play, got RJ running downhill, and there was a clear and obvious foul, in my opinion, that did not get called. That would have allowed him to hit some free throws and send the game to overtime. So need some redemption there down at McCamish Pavilion, Coach.
Yeah, you're not bitter about that at all. So I can tell you've kind of let that one go. So.
Clearly, I've let it go. I've dealt with my past demons, and we move on. Coach, in this new schedule, for some reason, the ACC decided to do it where you would have two opponents home and home, meaning that one of your opponents or one of the ACC teams you would not play at all. We already mentioned for Carolina this year, that's going to be Boston College. Of course, we all knew it was going to be somebody that would be a cakewalk for Carolina because it's the target, and that's good. Ultimately, Coach, I guess while you would like an easy game, the good news is that is good for Carolina's resume in terms of net rankings. As you look at that as a coach, what do you make of that?
This is why we did this, right? Isn't this why we did the schedule this way? So you don't have to play, and I think more so you have to play somebody bad twice, but now you take a team that is arguably the worst team in the league and just not have to play them at all. Gives you the opportunity to get that other quality opponent, non-conference, and be able to get better rankings for whatever, those postseason rankings are all about. But I still hate it. I still want to play everybody twice. I want it to be fair. It's not fair. As a coach, we're in a similar situation with our league where it's an unbalanced schedule. I don't like it, but there really is no easy solution. And here's my biggest problem. This is a solution for now. They're going to find some problems with it, and then it's going to change again, and then it's going to change again. And right. 5 years down the road, we could be back to where we were. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But it just seems like we're kind of flipping coins, trying to figure out which way to go. And I really don't like it at all.
That's so spot on. It's guaranteed to change again very soon. And you know what's funny, Coach? Coming up, I don't mean coming up, I mean growing up, I guess I should say, there were 9 teams in the ACC and you played 16 conference games, true round robin. Well, right now there are 18 teams in the ACC. You divide that in half, you got 2 divisions of 9. You could just go back to the same thing. I don't know that I want to do that because it would mean maybe not playing some of those schools. But what if you even just did true round robin of 16 against your division and then, 2 or 4 one-offs against the other? I don't know that I want that, but just something different because it just doesn't make sense.
Here's my idea. I know this is crazy, but it's pro. This is pro. So if it's pro sports now, why don't we just up? Classes don't matter. Graduation rates, nobody's going to class from what I understand from a lot of the guys I hear about. They're not going to class right now anyway. I'm not talking about Carolina guys. I'm talking about other Division I guys that I've heard about. Play 40 games. Let everybody play everybody twice and make it as fair as possible. Let everybody play 40 games. Make it like a true, professional league. Start a little bit earlier, maybe go a little bit later, and make it maybe not as traditional, but why not? We're talking about packing the arenas, a couple more times, and everybody benefits from that, from the parking to the concessions to the ticket sales. Let's go ahead and do that. And if you have more money, you can go ahead and pay your players even more. And let's sign them the contract. Don't get me started about that, but you know what I'm saying. Hey, let's just play more games and make it even. Why are we
right with you? I'm so in the corner of joining you in that. Right now you play 31 regular season games. Just add 9 more. Why not? Right? These guys are going to go on and be asked to play 82 games anyway. And obviously I know, 40 plus whatever postseason, but so what, man? If they're clamoring for more games to get more eyeballs, to get more money, should be a thing that they want to do, right? That seems like they'd be in favor of the TV execs anyway. Of the other 8 matchups that we will not see in ACC play this year, Duke versus Miami is one of them. That makes 0 sense to me because that means we're not going to see Jay Lucas against his former team that he just loved coaching. That's silly. NC State versus Cal, that old classic ACC rivalry. Clemson, Virginia, we won't see happen in the regular season. FSU, Louisville, Georgia Tech, SMU, Notre Dame versus Wake, Pitt versus Virginia Tech, and Syracuse versus Stanford. So those are the 9 matchups, Coach, that we will not see this season. Well, man, schedule is what it is. Coach and I, again, we're going to unpack more of the schedule in totality on next Tuesday's show. Look together at both the ACC teams and the non-con. Speaking of the non-con, Carolina, because of the ACC games reduction, has 2 more non-con slots to use, and was announced earlier Wednesday, what I thought was going to be the biggest news of the day, that Carolina is scheduling a home and home with Georgetown. Seems like a nice fit. We'll talk about why coming up in just a second. It was reported by Jon Rothstein from CBS Sports earlier on Wednesday from multiple sources, according to him, that North Carolina and Georgetown have scheduled a home and home, the first game of which will be this expected December, no specific date yet announced, in Chapel Hill, with the return game next season, 2026-27, up in the DC area, and probably at Georgetown, since it's going to be a true home and home. No timetable on an official announcement, so you won't see this from either school yet, but Rothstein is so well sourced, and if it's coming out, you got to take it to the bank. That makes a ton of sense. Coach, we know that we saw a just absolutely bonkers non-conference schedule from Carolina last year. Already this year, it was looking a little bit more palatable, a little more doable, and now you add a high major team in Georgetown, a Big East school, but yet another one that's not too terribly daunting. What do you think about this addition to the non-con schedule?
I think it's good. I think when we were anticipating what these games could look like, we talked about the Big East. We talked about Creighton, or we talked about Marquette or something like that. And of course, they played Marquette a few years back, but I like it. I like it. One is the location. DC is not that far. I think it would be a great, to keep it on the East Coast here. It's not anything that's be huge travel. We could see some, our fans getting up there in a year from now, and even, I'm not worried about the Georgetown fans coming down, but I think it's a great relationship. I think Georgetown's a program on the rise. I think they've kind of gone through that tough stretch with Patrick Ewing, and I think they're going to be better. And I think they'll be a great opponent. And I think having them home first helps. But I like it. It's something, again, I just talked about this, something different, something unique, something we haven't seen before, and a really, quality opportunity to get some more respect in the rankings for the Heels. I'm excited. I like it. I really do.
Yeah, I'm with you. It makes a lot of sense. The great point on the East Coast, Coach Davis has talked about wanting to get to New York every year. While this isn't New York and there's not a New York on the schedule yet, there is still one non-con slot left to add. But DC is pretty close up there. And I think, in my mind, accomplishes essentially the same thing you're trying to do with New York. I guess not quite saying like, hey, we're going to play in Manhattan, but it's pretty close there. Coach, just in terms of scheduling a home and home, obviously this is going to be the last year of the Kansas home and home, last year in Lawrence, this year in the Dean Dome. And this is the way a lot of teams are going, with not as many MTEs being played, or at least 2-game rather than 3-game MTEs. So many schools are doing home and homes. And so I like Carolina going ahead and getting another one of those on the books. Coach, would you like to continue to see more of that?
Absolutely. And I'd like to see it maybe move around from conference to conference. Budget's not a big issue. Obviously, they can travel wherever they want to. So I'd like to see it move around. Let's see something out west, maybe see something in the Big Ten in the future, maybe something something we haven't thought about. But I do like to be able to move around. I do like it right now on the East Coast, but to be able to play those Power 5 conferences and get a little bit, some unique matchups we haven't seen before. I'd still like to see in Iowa. I'd like to see, something, we haven't seen before in that situation, or maybe something out west. And we St. Mary's, let's see some of those power conferences out west and be able to see some of that stuff happen. That's where I would like to see this go. Let's see it kind of migrate towards the west over the next, decade or so.
Yeah, man. There was that Gonzaga home and home a couple of years ago. That was a lot of fun. That's a great point, Coach. And I like that they've kind of overlapped it, right? To where it's like the Kansas one ends this year while the Georgetown one starts. The Georgetown one year 2 next year. Hopefully there will be another one added for the 26-27 season. That makes a lot of sense. The one thing I will say, I wish since the Kansas game is at home. I wish the Georgetown game was going to be on the road this year. So it was kind of either or with that. That seems like it would make some sense to me. Coach, got a trivia question for you. You ready for this?
Okay. Terrible trivia.
I know. I went and looked at it. Georgetown has a winning record all time against Carolina. They are 5-4. By my count, and I did sit down and go through the entire record book today to look at it and double and triple checked myself. Georgetown is one of just 16 schools to hold a winning record against the Tar Heels all time in the series. Some of these have played multiple times, some of them only once. Coach, my question for you is, can you name any of the other 15 schools that hold a winning record against the Tar Heels?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Any of them. I'm going to guess UCLA.
UCLA, no, not correct. Carolina all time, let me get back to it because I want to be able to give answers for the ones that aren't correct. Carolina all time against UCLA is 12-3, including the victory last year.
Kansas.
Carolina was tied with Kansas winning last year. The Jayhawks are now 7-6 all time against Carolina. You are correct.
I don't even want to be right because this means that Carolina's got a losing record. I don't even want to be right.
That's right.
West Virginia.
West Virginia is 5-0 against the Tar Heels all time. Isn't that interesting?
About that. I would never guess that. I am totally pulling stuff blindly right now, so I have no idea. Arizona,
no. The Tar Heels against Arizona, let me go back and look all time. Carolina is 4-3 against the Wildcats, so very close, but the Tar Heels hold the edge. Let's do 3 more guesses, Coach, and then I'll give you the rest of the list. Gonzaga, no. Carolina has a winning record against the Zags. It is, where did it go? Carolina is 3-2 against Gonzaga, including the national championship in 2017, baby.
Which I celebrated very, very fondly. Villanova,
no. Carolina has a winning record against the Wildcats. And all-time Carolina is 11-6 against Villanova. We'll take that. Wish it was 12-5 though. Big time.
Definitely. Yeah, I celebrated way too early for that one.
Yeah. Coach, one more guess, and I will just say that there is one school, if you do not get it correct, you might get fired tomorrow.
That scares me when you say stuff like that. Milligan
is 1-0 all time against North Carolina. Yes, you keep your job.
I did know that, and I don't know if that's obviously it's not a big sample size, but do you have an idea what year that was? Was it in the 40s, 50s?
Yes, I can tell you. Stand by. Milligan and Carolina. I'm in the H's. They're I went to V. I've passed it, Coach. N. Now I'm into the M's. Milligan on December 11th, 1943. Milligan beat Carolina 42-35. That was back in Woolen Gym, Coach.
Oh, I love Woolen Gym. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I got yelled at by Coach Williams in Woolen Gym one time. That's a great memory. So.
That's good. All right, here's the rest of the list. You ready? Army is 3-0 against Carolina. Belmont 1-0. Drake 1-0. George Washington is 6-4 against Carolina. Indiana 10-6. Iowa, who you mentioned earlier, is 4-1. Navy 14-6. NYU, speaking of New York, is 14-6 against the Tar Heels. Ole Miss, courtesy of the round of 64 victory, is 2-1 against Carolina. San Francisco is 1-0. You might have guessed this one. Texas is 9-3. Seems like we can't ever beat the Longhorns. Xavier is the final one. Only one game, and the Musketeers beat Carolina. So, Coach, here's what's crazy about that. No team that has played the Tar Heels more than 20 times holds a winning record against them. So any team with any sort of sample size, Carolina holds the advantage in that series. All told, Coach, there are 251 schools that Carolina has ever played at least one game against, according to the Carolina record book. only 16 of those have a winning record against the Tar Heels, meaning of Carolina's 251 opponents all time, they have a winning record against 93.6% of those schools. Coach, how about that for some longevity there?
That's some amazing numbers. I'm actually 2-0 against NYU myself as a player back in the day. So there you go. Yeah, you still got that NYU stuff going on. But no, it's incredible. And that's why they're blue blood. That's why Carolina is who they are. Honestly, if I knew some of these stats as the AD or as Hubert, I want to schedule some of those games and let's see if we can turn some of those around, especially the Armies. And then at this point, hey, let's go out there and blow them out a couple of times so we can kind of flip that situation a little bit.
Well, Coach, I tell you what, I'm going to email all this to Kirsch tonight, and we'll see what we can get going there, and we'll move on from there. All right, guys. I'm sure he'll care, and it'll matter to him. Guys, a fun show today talking about the ACC opponents upcoming for this season, as well as the Georgetown matchup. Coach and I are going to be back together on Tuesday's show, where we're going to talk more about the schedule in totality, the conference and non-conference of it together. Behind the scenes, behind the curtain a little bit, I'm going to be on vacation next week. So literally, Coach and I are going to hit end on this one and then record that one right away after it. So get ready for that. Coach and I coming back at you in podcast form about 4 days from now. Thanks so much for being with us. If you've not subscribed to the show on video and audio, make sure you do that right now so you don't miss a second of Locked On Tar Heels. If you haven't bought Coach's book, do that right now. Or if you're going to be at camp this summer, man, bring some money with you. You can buy it from him directly. He'd be happy to sign it for you. What a great way to help support him as an author. If you're not part of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, we'd love to see you there. The link's in the show notes, free to join. And if you want to go deeper with the show, come be a Locked On Tar Heels insider. We'd love to have you there. Great way to help support what we're doing. You guys, it's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow to get ready for the baseball regional coming up at the Bosch this weekend. But until then, peace.